Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett Keene from God TV Radio. Make sure you check out all the links in my description. Connect with me on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to all my other YouTube channels. And when you get an opportunity, go over to my brother's YouTube channel. Give him some encouraging words. Anybody with ears can tell that he's a prodigy. He's a rock star. Today, I did something I haven't done for a very long time. I went over to PaulsEgo's YouTube channel and I listened to a video he's got called PaulsEgo's Window, where he talks about days that he's stabilized, but on other days there's a little voice inside of his head. His ego, his consciousness, the thing inside of him that basically reflects how he feels about himself truly whenever he's not doing YouTube, or even right before he's about to upload. Is it even worth it? Is it worth his time to upload? Some of the fascinating things that Paul pointed out was he has a realization, an awareness that the people out there who are watching him, they're simply watching him for entertainment, and he knows it. I was aware of that many years ago, even when I first started doing YouTube. I remember for the first year, I actually believed that all those non-believers that were subscribed to me and watching me, I actually believed that they did give a shit. I actually believed that they cared. But around the end of that first year, I started realizing that people were just looking for a mouthpiece. They wanted someone who wore the same label as them. They wanted somebody that would talk shit for them because they didn't have the spine or courage to do it themselves. PaulsEgo and the Amazing Atheist and many others out there, they've admitted repeatedly it was because of my courage and my ability to face my fears that I was one of the few atheists out there that started out on YouTube that paved the way for other atheists to grow some fucking balls and actually get out there and do what they were going to do. I am literally one of the big reasons why you see all these arrogant, belligerent, asshole-like atheists out there doing the shit that they do, mocking and ridiculing religion. That wasn't the form of atheism I wanted, though. That wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to have discussions about philosophy. I wanted to discuss the Bible. I wanted to bring atheists together, as where other atheists simply were in it for themselves. They knew that there was money to be made. They went for it. I've been on YouTube for 10 years, and I literally have not made over $500 fucking dollars in the entire 10 years of being on YouTube. There's no money in it for me. There's nothing in it for me, except for, hopefully, trying to help people out there. There's been a lot of people, Paul, that have come to me and stated, on the God believer side as well as atheist side, and people of other religions stated that by listening to my videos, it helped them. Some of them were suicidal, some of them were depressed. Unfortunately, not every single depressed person out there that ever watched my YouTube videos, it helped them. Unfortunately, I've had to see friends as well as family buried due to suicide, due to depression tearing their hearts out, tearing them up to the point where they couldn't stand looking at themselves in the mirror anymore. I've had to live through that. I've had to see people go. And I'm still seeing it today, on both sides. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a lot of Christians out there that get very depressed. There's a lot of atheists out there that get very depressed. And I was the guy that they went to. I was one of the guys that actually cared. I was the guy that was approachable. People knew that they could contact me, whether by phone, whether through Skype, whether through any social media out there. And I would try my best to be there for them. Paul, I remember when I first seen The Amazing Atheist, I actually believed he had charisma. I believed he had talent. and I supported him, I promoted him, so he became the big YouTuber he is today. I'm not taking credit for all the popularity and fame that he's got, but I do remember whenever he first started out, a lot of atheists thought he was a complete and utter fucking idiot. They didn't think that he had anything going for him. But I continued to promote his channel. I'm the one that went over to Stickam and listened to atheists in their rooms talk shit about him, what a fat piece of garbage he was, that he had no talent, that he was materialistic and only cared for himself. But I believed that there was some good in him. When I watched your channel, I was convinced that you sounded all right, that you had a decent voice, but I didn't really believe that you had a message. I didn't believe that you cared about changing the world or helping anybody. I believed that you were a person that was going through your own private hell. I believed that you were a person that was fucking suffering deep inside. A man who felt like he disappointed his own mother and couldn't be the man that he had hoped that his wife could have. You were the man who couldn't be able to bring kids into the world. And maybe, maybe not, you would have been a good father. Who knows? You'll never know at this point, will you? Whenever I supported you and I promoted you, I'll be honest with you, it was more out of pity. It was more out of feeling like, here's a guy that's alone. Maybe someone needs to give him a break. Someone needs to reach out to him. I remember what you said to me whenever I promoted you and I supported your channel and I helped you get some views and brought people to your attention. You actually went to your wife and you said, wow, this popular YouTuber Brett Keane, he actually supported me. He actually put forth a video and told people to come over, and he says nice things about me and cool stuff. I cared about you, but I didn't think you were a TJ. I didn't think that you were an Aaron Raw. No way, in any kind of way, did you even come off like a Thunderfoot. You just simply didn't have a message. You were a guy who seemed like you were in a big pile of your own shit, wallowing in it, and couldn't fight your way out. I thought you could use some love. I thought you could use some hands and arms that were open to embrace you, so you would feel as though you're not alone in this world. I remember going into Stickam and also hanging out with another dramatic, theatrical asshole by the name of Amendum, who was depressed, hated his fucking life, couldn't stand it. And sometimes I would go in there and I would sit. Unfortunately, Amendum would insult the shit out of me. He hated everybody, and you know it. And, of course, some of the people that hung out with him were emo fucks who thought they were better than everybody, and they would also dish out a lot of bullshit if I were to come up on camera and talk. But it was weird because even though they were extremely abusive, I had this weird thing where I liked to listen to Amendum. Sometimes I thought Amendum was extremely intelligent, even though he hated me and wished I was fucking dead from cancer, AIDS, or whatever above. So one day, I go in there under a completely different name, because there were too many times in the past when I went under my account, Brett Keane, and I immediately got put on the hot spot, and non-believers treated me like dog shit. They loved me on YouTube, but on Stickam, Amendum's group hated my fucking guts. So I had to create another account that did not have Brett Keane on it. I called myself Dark Love. It's basically after something having to do with my books. And I would just sit there and listen, and I'd work on some shit in the background while listening to Amendum and the people, and of course Amendum screamed and yelled like the fucking orangutan that he could be. And I seen you actually come in the room. I was recording the room before you even came in, Paul. I was recording because I enjoyed trying to save some of the interesting material and discussions and debates that were talked about in the room. Well, you came in, and I remember going, oh, cool, Paul's there. But I didn't have any intention of actually getting up on camera and saying something to you, because it would have just turned into a big shit fest with the Mendham and napalm that was in the room. But it was fascinating. Within about 15 minutes, you guys found yourself in a conversation about me, and you didn't even know I was there. Do you remember what you did, Paul? Do you remember what you did about the guy who helped promote you and tried to be your friend, cared about your problems, cared about the depression and hell that you were going through? Do you remember what you did to the Brett Keane guy in the amendum room? You basically insulted the living fuck out of me in front of the amendum so you could get laughs from the rest of the non-believers in the room. You belittled me, you talked down to me, and tried to make people laugh at my expense. And I just sat there and I listened, thinking to myself, my goodness, why would this guy do this for? Why would a guy who I helped out, and I gave all that I could to try to help him and give an act of kindness, why would he do that shit? And it's interesting because I listened to your video today, The Window, about how you hate yourself more than you hate anybody out there, and it all makes sense to me now. After all these fucking years, Paul, it finally all makes sense. You hate yourself, and since your childhood you needed to make young people, as well as people that you grew up with, feel like complete and utter crap, because just for a small moment in time you felt big, you felt important. But sadly, the only people that you could really hurt were people that you actually cared about. Your own family, your own friends. In your video, The Window, you asked the question to yourself, because you're talking to yourself in the video, why does TJ or any of these people actually put me up on the Drunken Peasants? Why do people do this? Well, Paul, that's for the same reason why they invited me on there. So they could get high and drink and sit there and have someone that they could attack. Someone that would play the fool. And that's what you are. One of these days you're going to argue with TJ. And the audience is going to get tired of you. Because it's a little clique, Paul. You're an older guy. It's a clique. You don't belong in cliques. You don't belong in these groups. You're a loner. You're a guy who likes to be isolated and by yourself. You don't trust anybody. You're paranoid. You think that everybody's out to get you. And you know what? On YouTube they are. You're absolutely right. That voice inside your head, it's telling you what's up. It's trying to warn you. And one of these days you're going to get trashed. And one of these days the very few people that you trust are going to end up shitting on you. And then you're going to feel like a little puddle of shit sitting there on the ground. And you know what's going to happen then? You're going to be reminded of this video where I'm talking to you. And you're going to think, damn, what all these people did to me, I did that exact same thing to Brett Keane. One of the few people who sincerely and honestly gave a fuck about me. Actually gave a fuck about my life. And hopefully whenever you realize at that point that there's no one there, that your mother's not there, your wife is not there, Brett Keane is not there, Brett Keane's wife is not there to support you, nobody's there, hopefully that doesn't influence you to initiate tying a noose. Because Paul, even though you're a dirty, rotten fucking bastard and you know it, I don't want you to die. I don't want you to suffer. I don't want anybody to hurt. But unfortunately you will go down. And so will TJ. And so will a lot of these pricks. And do you know why? Not because I'm going to make it so, but it's because you're going to make it so. Every single day you guys are destroying yourself. Every day you get darker and darker until finally the light goes out. And that's the reality of it. That's a universe without God for you. Peace out.